just for giggles. And my big thing here is, so you got the check down, you get the quick out, you have no pass rush, and it's just the mentality is like, let's get the ball out quick. Okay. Let's do everything we can to get the ball out quick on that first play. Trying to go back here. But you got 2x2. Come on, Mike. All right, you got 2x2 here. You got a four-man rush. They're in nickel. They're not showing anything. You got time here. You're going to get 5 out in protection. You settle. You might just be trying to get the ball to get a completion. I mean, listen. Before I got to Green Bay, they used to run sprint right option for Brett every time he'd throw into the second row. That's how he'd kind of get, okay, now he's ready for the game. Holmgren would just call the play knowing that he was going to throw into the second row, and then we could just start playing football. So maybe you're just trying to get a completion here. My whole thing is you got a 4-man pass rush, 5-man protection. You got people out. Let's try to get more than 2 yards on the first play. That's all. It's just the mentality's different, right? So what are we doing here? We go 12 or 21 personnel. We have or 12 personnel, excuse me. We have AJ and Aaron in the backfield. We saw this play a lot last year where they'd start running the bubble and then they just run the fullback dive. So they look like they're going to run the bubble with Aaron Jones over the top. By the way, Aaron Jones hasn't touched the ball yet. And what they're going to do is they're going to soften that defensive end. Now, we saw Christian McCaffrey from a different position, albeit it ends up being the exact same thing, exact same personnel. They were going 0. But you look here, they're looking at cover 2. They're probably going to rotate. But you're going to end up here in a bubble situation where you have 2 lead blockers and you have the nearest defender on the 34-yard line with Aaron Jones if he wants to get the ball here. So they end up running the dive because they soften that defensive end. You could very easily throw the little bubble to Aaron Jones here. But AJ gets a good run, gets 3rd and 1, and this is where the wheels start falling off immediately. So this really is a microcosm of the season. So Aaron Jones is in the inside slot. You got a 3x1. They're going to run a fullback dive here. And they notice that Harrison Smith is kind of screwing around. He looks like he might be covering Jones right here, but he's not. He's just kind of screwing around in the box because everyone thinks they're going to run the ball. So they want to run an inside receiver screen here and just run the arrow route with Jones and get 2 blockers. Somebody doesn't tell Aaron Jones. There's a miscommunication of some sort. And so the offensive line is going to block for A.J. Dillon. And by the way, they do a heck of a job here. So the backside of Minnesota slants. And Rasheed Walker, who got benched later in the game, was going for initially to step to Elton Jenkins for a B and step back and shut the door on the tight end block with Tucker Kraft and got him upfield to the second level. This thing's out the gate. I mean, it's not a touchdown because it's AJ, but this thing's out the gate. This is a really, really well blocked play. And it doesn't work out. Jordan Love's got to do some Houdini stuff here in the backfield, ends up making the play, but then Rasheed Walker's downfield. Why is he downfield? Because it was a run play. I mean, this is just kind of how life is right now. So it's 3rd and 6. We get them to jump. We're empty backfield. So it's 3x2 to the left. And you see here, you got everybody pushing off, and you've got your tight end coming across, and he's basically one-on-one with a dropping linebacker with his back to the receiver. He's facing the quarterback. This is a big play in the making, but because, listen, Aaron Rodgers, you get a free play, you throw it down the field. He ends up chucking this thing into double coverage just because he can. But this is where you see the receiver on the 41-yard line here on the left side of the screen. This is where the evolution of the position comes. Like, man, take the 20-yard gain. It's okay. So you get to 3rd and 1. And again, microcosm of the entire season is this drive. You're on the 29 or 28-yard line. And the center who's making the calls for the entire team goes the wrong direction. Harrison Phillips, guy from Buffalo. He's kind of he's a good player in the National Football League. He's a good player. He's not a great player. He's a good player. He looked like an all-pro yesterday on a number of plays. I'm going to show this from the end zone. And this is really simple. You watch the footwork of everybody else. We got a double team between John Runyon and Zach Tom. Elgin Jacobs, Rasheed Walker are stepping to the right. Their guys step back out to the left. Myers is the only person that steps to the left. Ball's coming off the right side of the quarterback. He just steps the wrong. I mean, he really just stepped. He should be zone driving the other way. He just steps the wrong direction. And this kind of stuff happens when things aren't going. Like momentum's a real thing. And momentum can happen when you're doing well, and momentum can pile on when it's like getting that snowball rolling downhill. It can pile on. And right now it just feels, I think, with everything that goes on, like these guys aren't insulated enough that they don't understand. Like Josh Myers knows that people are asking about his job and this and that and the other thing. And I've always thought that he had a bright future. That being said, this is very perplexing. Usually the center's the one guy that you could trust to go the right direction. That's all. So we got to punt the ball away. Opportunity knocked early, right? Quay Walker has this one in his hands. Sometimes you miss a play like this. There's 11:54 left in the game, in the first quarter, okay? It's 2nd and 8. Green Bay Packers can pick this ball off on their side of the 50. Okay, it's a whole different ball game. Again, momentum is a big deal. That's not the play of the game. I'm not saying they're going to win because of that. I am saying that when you have a fragile team, momentum's a really big deal. So Lucas Van Ness is trying to rush. He rushes on O'Neal. And we didn't think Kirk Cousins was very mobile. He likes to stand in the pocket. He'll stay in there and take a hit. But if you rush inside and don't have anybody else out there, well, then he's just going to go and break contain. And again, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about these guys stay on schedule. They move the sticks. They get 3, 4, 5 yards when this could have been a throwaway. It's just the little things that make a huge difference. And now you look at one thing the Vikings did a ton. They did it last week. They did motion to bunch. They did motion from bunch, but they used a lot of bunch motion. And you see that we've got a soft zone coverage here on a 3rd and 10. And what they're going to do is last week they would chip Bosa with Hawkinson, and then they'd have him run kind of a trail route. Well, they do the exact same thing. No chip now because they don't need the chip. They run more of like a tight end arrow route, which is or a Texas route, excuse me, which is kind of you go out in the back end like you're making the inside of a K. And he catches it right around the sticks, close play, and they end up missing a field goal. So we go back. Now, so it's 0-0. They've had some success moving the ball. We get a little lucky. You dodge a bullet by them missing the tight end. So you get the ball back. And this is kind of what we're talking about what are we trying to accomplish? What's the identity? You got to clean it up. This second series. First thing, number 90, Bullard steps out. Tight end's got to see this. Tackle's got to communicate it. You got to be able to read the keys and indicators, but he doesn't step down and cut off this block. He doesn't take good footwork. I'm talking about the tight end, Tucker Kraft. So instead of being a bigger gain, he gets tackled for a 3-4 yard gain. Again, 3-4 yards, that's great. It's not great if it could have been 10, right? Because you don't have many 10-yard runs this year. Go to the second play, Aaron Jones. This is not a good ball. This is a bad throw. Still can make the catch. Next play, we got motion over. Tight ends walked up. Look at the space in the middle of the field they've created because the Minnesota Vikings, Brian Flores loves to show blitz and also bring the guys, right? So one way or another, you think you're going to have a little bit of space in the middle of the field. You motion over to make sure you got the matchup you want. You have the opportunity. Ball's there. Does he knock it out of his hands? Does he mess with the call? I don't know, but he doesn't make the play. Good. Chris Cooper coaches the line for the Minnesota Vikings. Chris Cooper was a Pro Bowl guy for the world champion Denver Broncos back in 2014 or 2015, played guard. Worked with him. He was a super, super smart guy, amongst other things. If you think for a second that his guys don't know that when your 3 technique is this tight and that linebacker's stacked almost over the right guard, that they need to change their call and have the center come to the right guard, then you're crazy. Okay? This is a textbook play by the Minnesota Vikings because you're telegraphing what your intentions are. And I'm not saying, and this is always the hard part with Green Bay is not the only team that does this. Every team does this. It's always interesting to me when I see teams cheat to get to spots but they show that they're cheating all the time, and then you get exploited. And so this is like a 10-yard run, and it's like, for what? You could have just played this thing straight. What do we like again, what are you trying to accomplish? Do you not think that is that whether that's Slayton, whether that's Kenny Clark, can't beat their second year right guard? I mean, is that what we're saying? That's the kind of stuff I just don't understand. One thing we talked about last week with the preview was the Minnesota Vikings are going to try to use a lot of empty sets. They want to get five guys out in the routes because Kirk Cousins is doing such a good job of getting rid of the football. And so that maybe forces you to go into nickel. If you go to base, we saw it. It might mean that Preston Smith on multiple occasions had to drop. And if you want to pressure, now you've got, 53 yards of width with right now 70 or 80 yards of depth. And you've got five people guarding five people. So you feel really good about the situation if they decide to bring pressure. So these empty sets, you got a 3x2, and the ball's gone, and it's gone on time. I mean, there's really no way that you're going to get to Kirk Cousins if he throws that ball. I mean, if your offensive line is made of paper mache, he's still getting rid of that football. He's just throwing on time. They just do a really good job of it. This is I have a couple Preston Smith clips because, again, I think he brings to the table as far as aggressive run defense. Obviously made a play in the passing game late, but this is what you're supposed to do: reset the line of scrimmage every time. He just does such a good. You cannot block him with a defensive end, or excuse me, a tight end. Knocks down. I mean, it's just he just says it's such an underappreciated part of the football game that's critical to success. These guys are running in cuts, and I know you can't take somebody's head off anymore. We're not even breaking on the ball. So you see the top of the screen. I think this is against Jair. In cut right at the this is second down and 12. Right at the first down marker. There's three guys in the area. We don't have a safety break. It's just there's not a lot of fear about running across the middle. These guys live in the middle of the field, talking about the Minnesota Vikings. It's perplexing. 3rd and 1. So they showed this last week. They motioned from bunch to this kind of like, I don't know, flight of receivers here. And they see that in the original bunch, Hawkinson's the point man, and they were going to man up. So what do? They pick him. And when I say they pick him, it's a yard off the line of scrimmage, so they can still pick him. And they knock him. They knock his receiver on his backside. They use Rasul. They're running Rasul's guys off. Rasul's got outside leverage, so he's giving up inside leverage, right? Which is okay because you have safety help. But now Hawkinson is wide open. Great play design. Now, this is the kind of stuff that, again, what kind of football team do you want to be? This is a hammer meets nail moment and not in the good for us. I think this is Cam Akers on a touchdown run. And I don't know exactly what the reads are for Quay here, but it looks like we have safety coming down in the play side A or B gap, so he can hang backside here. The nose tackle gets pushed over, so he's not in the right hole, and then he just gets run over for the last 2 yards. And that's tough. Rasheed Walker got benched for Josh Nijman. I don't know if it was an injury or performance. This certainly didn't help. We call this pocket math, right? This is geometry of the pocket. So you hike the ball on what looks like the 33-yard line, okay? Now, Jordan Love is right now at the 21.5. So he has dropped back over 11 yards. And the reason that I bring that up is the geometry of the pocket has changed because of the shotgun. But when you're taking your pass sets, and there's no excuse for what Rasheed Walker does here because he actually has tight end chip help here or running back chip help out. So he just whiffs right there. But you're so deep that even if things went well, there's a really good chance that you're going to get hit if you're 11 yards plus deep in the pocket. I don't know a single player that can go 11 yards deep in this league right now and sit there and pat the ball and not get hit, because if the defensive ends are just going to start running the wheel and just eventually they're going to win. It's going to happen real fast. So this is 100% on number 63 for not taking a good pass set and missing out. But you have to be smart about what's going on. If you're the quarterback, you can't sit back at 11 or 12 yards deep and pat the ball. That back foot hits 11, man, you got to get back to the 10. So we give up the ball, we punt it, and with Cousins, you have to figure out, okay, am I going to rush 4? Okay, I'm going to rush 4. I'm going to drop 7. Wide open in the middle. There's guys around him. They're just finding open space. You see this a lot now with receivers going off script a little bit. As Travis Kelce's making it real famous. It's like, go to that area and then find the spot that's open. It's not just like settle down in the zone, run across if it's man. It's not as simple as it used to be. Now it's actually probably easier for these guys, more intuitive. Watch film, understand where they stand. Don't stand there. That was on 3rd and 8. This is a great play. So Jordan Addison's having a great year. I mean, starting last week, he really kind of showed up. This year, he played great against us. We're going to bring pressure. So they motion over, and then they bring Addison across, and we bring pressure into what looks like potentially a split full run. And Quay's coming on the backside. They've rocked everybody over, and they just catch us here. But this is what needs to stop. So I think this Keyshawn Nixon comes down, and take your shot, man. Like, that dude weighs 330 pounds. You weigh 215 pounds. Throw your body into harm's way right here and force that guy to cut back into the defense. Because if you let him go outside where the sideline is, nobody else is there. So take your shot. This is a physical play. Just go ahead. You're not going to make this play against those two guys. You got 700 pounds of anger and fury coming at you. You are not going to make this play. Make it by forcing them back. Take your shot. Got to take your shot here. This is too easy. Rudy Ford here. Great job coming down. Like, yeah, highlight good and the bad, right? This could have been a huge play. This actually turns out to limit them to a field goal. They've got this thing blocked up. They got one person to beat. Ford comes down for this is like a 2-yard gain. That was a really good job. You identify, get down there, be the hammer, not the nail. Talk about the offensive line. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this thing. There we go. Talk about the offensive line. We're losing on landmarks a little bit. So on this play, you just got an easy shotgun inside zone, and you got 3 guys that are missing on their landmarks on the inside. So the 3 most important players, right? Left guard, center, right guard, are all either so left guard, poor footwork, gets pushed in the backfield, turns his ass to the hole, doesn't give the running back anywhere to run. Center misses on literally just whiffs on the second level. And then John Ryan Jr. at right guard is short on his landmark. So he's letting this 2-eye get driven right into inevitably where the play is going to be had. This guy's half a man into the hole already. So you're just leaving Aaron Jones no options here. And it's again, you're losing on landmarks. Really, just say it the other way. You're losing because your footwork's not very good. These are the plays, again, I guess that's a positive play because it's not, it's not technically it's not now 2nd and 12, but you got to get more out of opportunities to run the ball in 6-man boxes. It's just got to, there's got to be something that you're doing a little bit better. And for me, it all comes down to this footwork. It's not always receivers making drops. It's also, we got to get the ball in the right spot. Third and 15. This is a design play. Really like this play. And it's a good job of getting Jordan Love by design to kind of waggle out on the move. We see the linemen are actually funneling all these players inside. So now he has a run pass option. And this, of course, is one of the ways we got, some extra yards in the running game. TJ Slayton, we combine here for a really good play. Again, there's some good things going on both sides of the football. Holds off, shucks the right guard, comes in late, makes this play. So he stops the hole, clogs the hole, sheds his block, makes a play. It's 3rd and 8. I'm going to back this up. This is interesting for me, at least. Okay, so it's 3rd and 8. You got a 3-by-1. You got KJ Osborne off of, looks like he's going to chip out. Running back to the right. So we bring pressure to the right where the running back is. Running back stays in. We chip out to KJ and immediately have a flat player open for business. And again, Cousins is getting rid of the ball, guys. Like, he's not going to take a lot of sacks. There's nobody there. We have Preston Smith, who's our second best pass rusher, in coverage because we're running a exotic zone blitz. And on zone blitzes, if you bring 4 on one side, you have to drop somebody on the other. Like, this is just, this is part of football. This is the way that everybody's done it forever. So this is how we still do it. Doesn't have to make sense. But it's 3rd and 9, and we get the first down. He got to get first down by 3 yards because you're playing soft, because they went 3-by-1 and we keyed on the running back and not the inside receiver. And he chipped out, was flat. They had planned for it. They saw it on tape. They made the conversion.